No secret there's a housing crisis out there. Housing affordability is a huge problem. The cost of housing are at all-time highs right now across the country and around the world in some areas. Real estate prices, housing prices appreciated about 10 to 15% last month, and there's all kinds of reports out. We are at a peak in housing costs around the world. Construction costs are through the roof right now as well. So, what are the solutions? What can we do, and what can be done about the housing issue all around the world? So, one of the things is modular and manufactured housing, and there is a difference. So, the difference between modular housing and manufactured housing really is the way it's built and the type of product at the end. So, generally, modular housing is going to be a systems built home, a stick built product that's built in a factory. So it's really no different than a site built home, other than the fact that it's built in a factory in a controlled environment, and it's either sent out in sections or it can be sent out in complete structures, depending on the size of it. Manufactured housing is more like a mobile home. So those are typically trailers, which those can be set up on foundations and can be permanent, but the construction is very different between a manufactured house mobile home and a modular house. So one of the things to think about, one of the biggest questions I get all the time is where are modular housing uses appropriate? Are they better for spec houses to build spec homes for sale? Are they better for rental product? And the thing you need to understand, so real estate's hyper local, different markets around the country, around the world. Every market is different, every community is different, and the perceptions of value are different. So modular housing outside of the United States is very popular in some countries, and the technologies are well ahead of the United States in a lot of countries. We get a lot of our ideas from other countries in terms of construction, in terms of modular housing type construction and uses, and even in 3D printing. That started outside the United States, concrete 3D printing houses. We're going to go over that here in a second. And now we're starting to use that technology in this country. But a lot of times the engineering for these systems and for these types of products are started outside of the United States, and then we import that technology here. Now, one thing about housing is one of the biggest industries in the world that has not been automated. One of the biggest industries, period, but also one of the biggest industries that the manufacture of housing has not been automated. And even for modular homes, manufactured homes, it's very difficult to generate a lot of production in those houses. So, from a value standpoint, in the United States, in a lot of areas, modular homes, even though you can do some very nice ones like you see here, these are environmentally friendly modular homes. These are built to be off the grid, net zero. It has um, the Tesla power package in there, battery, so that you can store energy from a solar standpoint, and then use the Tesla battery power in there to power the house once it's done. This is S2A modular, so it's sustainability advanced. So you want to definitely, if you're interested, check that out. It's pretty cool. They have some neat, really cool looking floor plans, all kinds of different houses. It's got some serious green energy technology. It's meant to be self-sustaining off the grid. And it's got Tesla's Powerwall that's paired with FreeVolt PV graph solar technology. So a lot of big words there. But anyways, basically, this is one of Tesla's um, power walls that you put in here where the solar is captured. It goes into the power pack and basically powers the rest of the house for periods of time when you're not capturing solar energy. And you can see there's a lot of different floor plans, models. So these types of modular homes, they look very traditional. You can get them contemporary, you can get them traditional. You wouldn't know it looking at them, but you have to disclose that it's modular. So that can affect values in some areas. In some areas, the perception of value for modular homes is not as good as stick built houses. But in some areas, it doesn't matter. Some products, it doesn't matter. So there's all kinds of modular home manufacturers out there that have very traditional looking floor plans, like you see here. And then they have the contemporary as well, different levels from affordable packages all the way up to high-end luxury homes. There's luxury modular homes. One of the Other things that's real popular right now are these foldable houses. So this is boxable, and these are meant mostly for ADU type things. So if you're looking at doing an ADU project, you can get one of these units shipped to your property. It basically unfolds with a crane. There are systems like this that can be stacked into different levels and create larger structures, and they're basically the living areas are basically cubed and stacked together. So these are pretty cool. They come pretty much finished with kitchens and everything. You just unfold them, set them up. So these are great for ADU type projects. And then, like I said, you can stack these things together and create larger structures with them. So really interesting to look into. And then there's also Adobe, that these are complete finished modular units that are shipped to your property. Again, this is mainly meant for like ADU type structures where you can have these just turnkey shipped out to your property. Pricing for these things just depends on your area, but they're not cheap. You know, this one starts at a couple $100,000. I've seen some as cheap as 50 to 75,000 for ADUs. And then you get into concrete 3D printing. So this is the new technology that's becoming more and more popular in the United States. And basically the way this works is it's a digital image that's in an iPad or a laptop on site, and this 3D printer, this concrete printer, which is basically steel beams, columns that are set up around the perimeter of the site, follows that digital image from the computer, and literally concrete flows through a printer head and it lays the walls and prints them out. So you can kind of see how the printer head moves along the way. This is fascinating stuff. 3D printing is becoming more and more popular. You can Google that term. There may be some in your area, in your country, depending on where you're at. There's several different types of 3D printers out there, some bigger than others. So this, I think, is the future of site-built homes in the country. Number one, they seem to be reports that these houses are being done for 25 to 50% cheaper than standard construction. It makes it easier on the trades. You're using concrete, so you have wind loads and strength of the concrete walls in hurricane zones. A lot of places we pour concrete walls and build walls out of block for hurricane wind loads. So these are very good from a wind load standpoint. They're environmentally friendly, less of an issue on the of the emissions, things like that. So energy efficient construction and time frame. So these things, it only takes a couple of people to really set this whole thing up, get it going, and you can see it now. You know how it prints out the walls. So it's very efficient, takes very little labor. And you can apparently print out a 1,200 square foot house in a couple of days. So this is the future, I think, of technology in terms of system built homes, manufactured homes in the country. I think it's much more efficient, easier to deploy. The problem with modular homes is the lead time. So really, at the end of the day, modular homes, they don't save you a whole lot of money in general, but they can save you a little bit of time. But you still have a long lead time right now because they can't keep up with demand because everybody's having trouble finding help in this day and age from a labor standpoint. But back to the appropriateness of modular homes. So modular homes can be good for rental. So if you're doing duplexes, triplexes, single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, even multifamily, large multifamily projects, modular can be a good way to go because it can save you some time. But at the end of the day, for single family, it can have a value perception that's not as high as stick built homes, or even now these concrete built houses. There's a lot of areas of the country where houses are built out of block, where they're poured concrete walls. Other areas outside the United States and other countries, as you see, you can smooth these down. It lays the walls in layers, and you can smooth that out and finish it however you want. You can finish it with drywall on the inside if you would like sheetrock look on the inside versus concrete, but it's very energy efficient. It's has less carbon emissions, so it's supposed to be a more green, sustainable type of construction. There are some systems that are using mixes that are built or that are generated from recycled materials. So 3D printing, I think, is the future of the construction industry. I think these things are going to get more and more economical to do, more and more popular. But at the end of the day, the real question is you have to look at these finished products here of these houses that are being built. And you can research this 3D printed homes. You can see some that have been built and sold in this country already and decide if it's something that you would ultimately live in. It's really interesting. These things look like traditional houses. They finish out very well and they're very quick, easy, and efficient to build. So I think this may be one of the answers and solutions to the housing crisis that we're facing out there in this country and around the world. So keep your eyes on 3D printed homes. I think you're going to see these things become more and more popular here in the future as the technology gets better, gets more affordable, and more people get more familiar and comfortable with the end product.